Hello, my name is Joe Lewis. Welcome to this series on angular attack. What we're going to be working on is showing you how to deal with different types of opponents, working on what we call offensive footwork. In other words, angular attack is a fancy way of referring to what we call offensive footwork. Now today, my two partners working with me are John and Jim Graydon. Both are three-time members of the world champion United States karate team. Now, to begin with, what I'm going to do is show you exactly what I mean by angular attack. Then we're going to go through a few drills, basically concentrating on hand techniques, some kicking techniques, because it's easier to show you the offensive footwork drills when I teach you utilizing hand techniques. John Graydon, can you join me, please? Now watch. Square off gets me in the sparring stance. Now, to begin with, what are we talking about when we say angular attack? Now, we're talking about offensive approaches to your opponent. Now, with each technique you can fire in the fight game, such as a kick of your choice, such as maybe a lead leg round kick, or some type of a punch, such as one of the more traditional punches is a step-through lunge punch. With each one of those techniques, there's 5 different ways, 5 variations that you can utilize to approach different types of opponents. Now, a number of styles concentrate on what we call technique variation. In other words, if I come out and I fire, let's say, a hook and heel kick at my opponent, and my hook and heel kick misses, maybe my instructor say, okay, now switch to maybe a spin back kick. And I'll spin, try maybe a spin back kick. The spin back kick doesn't work, then maybe I'll switch up and I'll try maybe a lead leg side kick. The side kick doesn't work. Maybe my instructor will say, okay, now switch off and try a hand technique. So I'll start different types of hand techniques. I might try a back fist. I might try a ridge hand. I might try a straight reverse punch, scoot reverse punch, drop reverse punch. Sometimes I might come in with a fake down low, come overhand with a ridge hand. That's coming out of the crab stance. So in other words, we're often taught that when one technique doesn't work, we start switching off and trying a variation of other techniques. I personally don't believe in that mode of thinking or that style of fighting. When your favorite technique fails to work for you, such as a simple forward hand strike, or maybe a simple slide up side kick off the front leg, what I like to do is I like to go back to my original position and start reinvesting in the basic way in which I execute that technique. See if, first of all, I'm positioned correctly. Do I have the right distance? Am I giving my opponent as little defense as possible? Am I mobile in any direction with equal skill and equal speed? In other words, can I move as fast as possible? Then I want to make sure I've got the right distance. If my distance is too far back, like I am now, notice I'm more than 2 feet from my partner's critical distance line. I want to choke a little bit. Get within adequate firing distance so that when I do squeeze the trigger, I don't have as far to go to execute that punch or that kick. Then I want to make sure I'm not too tense when I squeeze the trigger, because a lot of times if you're too tense, you can telegraph your technique before you even squeeze the trigger. Then as I squeeze the trigger, I want to make sure I don't tighten up, or I want to make sure I don't lean just before I execute. That's another way of telegraphing your technique. And so what we're going to work on today is what we call bridging the gap, showing you how to close that gap between you and your opponent a little more effectively by working on what we call angle attack variation. In other words, change the angle of the attack as opposed to changing the technique when your technique fails for you. Now, real simple, let me run through a series of different examples of what I mean by angular attack. Let's take a simple forward hand strike off the front side. If I go directly to the target, notice where my front hand is positioned. If I go straight from where my front hand is here, straight to the target, straight in, without any fakes or feints or anything like that, that's called a simple direct angular attack. Take it with a kick. If I go directly to the target, straight for the floor, straight to my opponent's head, let's say a lead leg roundhouse kick, straight in, that's a direct angular attack. Now, if I go by way of a fake, so for example, watch this. If I'm just going to walk over and touch John, I walk over, I touch it. I went directly to him. Now this time I'm going to go indirectly towards him. I'll start towards you, stop, hesitate, turn, and then approach my opponent. Notice I went by way of a slight hesitation or by way of a feint or a fake. Now watch. Take those same techniques I fired a moment ago. Forward and strike, lead leg round kick, lead leg side kick. Now watch. If I fake first and then end up firing my forward and strike, notice I ended up at the same target with the same technique by way of a fake. I now have what we call an indirect angular attack. In other words, I'm going basically indirectly to the target. Okay? Some styles use the word covert and overt, I guess. Squirrel. Now the same thing, firing a round kick to the head. I might feint downstairs at my opponent's face or even fake downstairs at his opponent's stomach. Make him think downstairs, follow through upstairs, lead leg round kick. Same thing on my side kick. Come out, fake the head, make him think upstairs. Fake the head, make him think upstairs. And as soon as I fake, follow through downstairs with the lead leg side kick. So now I've got two ways to approach my opponent with each of these